Hi there and welcome. Today, we're diving into a topic that connects us all, family. In this explainer, we're going to give you all the essential English words and phrases you need to talk about your own family, whether it's huge or tiny. Let's get right into it. So, first things first, I want you to think about this. Do you have a big family or a small family? In the conversation we're looking at today, our speakers, Emily and Paul, have totally different families. And that's the perfect place for us to kick things off. And yeah, that's exactly our goal today. By the time we're done here, you're going to have a whole toolkit of words to talk confidently about the most important people in your life. All right, section 1, talking about your family. We're going to start with the absolute building blocks, the must-know words you'll need for any conversation about family. Okay, let's dive into section 2, the immediate family. This is all about your closest relatives, the very core of your family unit. The foundation of pretty much every family is, of course, the parents. In English, we have this simple, super useful word, parents, which just means your mother and your father together. So let's look at our examples. We've got Emily from the small family whose mother is Maria and father is John. Then there's Paul from the big family with his mother Sarah and father David. The roles are exactly the same, even though the families feel very different. Next up, siblings. Now this is another one of those great, efficient words. It covers both your brothers and your sisters all in one go. So think about it. How many siblings do you have? And this is where you can really see the difference between their families. Emily has just one sibling, her sister Laura. Paul, on the other hand, has 3. He's got a sister, Jessica, and 2 brothers, Tom and Mark. You can already imagine his house was probably a lot louder. And yep, that's exactly what Paul says. He remembers his childhood home as being very loud and very fun. That little quote just paints such a great picture of what it's like to grow up with a bunch of siblings. Okay, section 3. The extended family. Now that we've got the core unit down, let's extend our family tree outwards and meet everyone else. And who's more special than grandparents, right? Simply put, these are the parents of your parents, your grandmother and your grandfather. Grandparents are so often the storytellers of the family. Paul says his grandfather George tells the best stories, and I think a lot of us can really relate to that. They're the ones who hold all the family history. The next branch out on our family tree is for the aunts and uncles. And it's really simple. Your uncles are the brothers of your parents, and your aunts are the sisters of your parents. So it makes sense that if you have a big extended family, you probably have a lot of cousins. And that's definitely true for Paul. He has 4 of them. And that's exactly what cousins are. They're the children of your aunts and uncles. For a lot of us, they're like our first ever friends built right into the family. Paul even mentions playing video games and having these huge holiday get-togethers with his. All right, moving on to section 4, adding color and action. So we know who everyone is, but what are they like? In this section, we're going to learn how to bring your family stories to life with a little bit of personality and detail. So, when you're describing someone, you can usually talk about two different things. First, their appearance, what they look like. You can use words like tall or talk about their long hair. Second is their personality, who they are on the inside, using words like funny or kind. You really need both to paint a full picture. Okay, let's put this toolkit into practice. Look how simple these sentences are. We can describe how someone looks, like, my brother Tom is tall. Or we can talk about their personality, like, my grandfather George is very wise. Or, my cousin Ben is very friendly. These simple sentences are actually incredibly powerful for telling your story. But what do families actually do together? Well, here are some really great common activities, like watching movies, playing board games, or just going for a walk in the park. These are the shared experiences that really build those family bonds. Okay, on to our final section, section 5. Now it's your turn. We've learned about the people, the descriptions, and the activities. So now let's put it all together so you can get practicing. Here is a super simple 3-step guide for building a great sentence about your family. Step 1, name the relative. For example, my sister. Step 2, add a description. Is very energetic. And step 3, mention an activity. We go for walks. Put it all together and look at that, a perfect sentence. And please remember, you do not have to say everything in one giant sentence. Starting with simple, clear sentences is the absolute best way to practice and build your confidence. He is tall. We play games together. Each one is a perfect step forward. I really love this final thought because it reminds us why we're even doing this. Learning a language isn't just about the words, it's about connection. And what better connection to talk about than the one we have with our family? So, to finish up, I'm going to leave you with a little challenge to put your new skills to the test. In one simple English sentence, tell me, who is the funniest person in your family? Go on, give it a try. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the podcast where we really get into complex ideas and try to pull out the understanding you need to be genuinely well-informed.
Yeah, cutting through the noise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And today, we're tackling something absolutely fundamental to, well, everyone. It's family.
Our first community, really.
It really is. Whether it's blood ties, chosen bonds, whatever connects us, family is just this constant thread, isn't it? Shapes our whole lives.
Definitely.
So today's deep dive isn't just about family in general. We're digging into the act of talking about family.
Ah, okay. How we actually express these connections.
Precisely. Our source materials is really open conversation between two people, Emily and Paul. They shared a lot about their own families' names, who's who, what they do together. It's quite a rich picture.
Sounds fascinating. Real people talking about real relationships.
Exactly. And our mission here is to go beyond just, listing relatives.
Yeah.
We want to unpack the insights from their chat. Like, how does the language they use actually shape how we see family? What roles do people play? What little things bind them together?
Right, the subtext.
Yeah. So for you listening, this isn't just about their families. It's about understanding how specific words, maybe even simple ones, can articulate these really complex ties in ways that are clear and emotionally resonant.
A practical takeaway, too, then. How to talk about our own connections better.
That's the idea. So whether you're just curious about different family setups, or maybe you're looking for ways to describe your own loved ones, or, you just like hearing about people's lives.
Which is most of us, let's be honest.
True. This deep dive should give you some real insights, quickly and thoroughly.
Great, because it really does get to how language shapes our reality, doesn't it? Emily and Paul, they're not just listing facts, they're creating images.
They are.
And in doing that, they're kind of giving us a framework for understanding and talking about these core relationships. It's almost like watching how we build personal stories.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they start right off showing that subjectivity.
Yeah.
Emily says her family is big,
Okay.
but Paul describes his as small, not very big,
Mm.
which, hearing the details later, is kind of surprising.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about the numbers on paper.
Not at all. That's the immediate hook. What's really going on when they use those labels? What's beneath big and small?
That's a great starting point. Because, yeah, you have to look past the head count. For Paul, maybe small means, I don't know, a certain kind of closeness. Or maybe geographical distance plays a role, even if there are quite a few people.
Right.
And Emily's big, maybe it's not just numbers, but this feeling of vibrancy. Maybe it's loud, lots going on, that kind of big energy. Exactly. So the real insight is that these first words, big or small, they're often just shorthand for our deeper feeling about the family. And that feeling shapes the whole story they tell next. It sets the scene. So maybe for you listening, does your family feel big or small? And forget the number for a second. What specific feeling or, dynamic does that word actually capture for you?
That's a really useful distinction, the number versus the feeling. Okay, let's dig into who actually makes up these families. Starting at the core, parents and siblings.
Right. The immediate circle.
Paul introduces his parents, Sarah and David. He calls them wonderful and very kind, and mentions they live in the city.
Okay.
Emily, on the other hand, talks about her parents, Maria and John. They live in a small house near the park.
And it's amazing how just those little details, names, location, one simple adjective work as this powerful emotional shorthand, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Paul's city parents versus Emily's near the park. You instantly get different vibes, maybe different lifestyles. It subtly colors how we see their starting point, their home base. These aren't just facts. They're like setting the mood.
It's true. A few words can conjure so much. Okay, now siblings. This is where Paul's small family gets interesting. He actually has 2 brothers and a sister.
Ah, see?
Yeah.
Not numerically small then.
Not really.
Yeah.
And he paints these really distinct pictures. Tom, the older brother, he's very funny, tells great jokes.
The comedian.
Yeah. Then Mark, the younger brother, is quiet, likes to read books, very smart.
Okay, the thinker.
And the youngest, his sister Jessica, she's very creative, loves to paint and draw. An artist.
Wow, quite a range.
And he adds, they're very close. They talk every week.
Lovely.
Now, Emily's situation is simpler. Just one younger sister, Laura.
Okay.
Laura is very energetic, loves sports, specifically tennis and swim.
The sporty one.
Right. And Emily says they're good friends, and they even go to the cinema together sometimes.
This really shows you that sort of mini world within a sibling group. You've got the joker, the quiet reader, the artist, the athlete.
A real mix.
And what's interesting is how these different traits, they aren't just individual things. They often kind of balance each other out, right? They create the unique feel of that particular family unit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Siblings are often our first real peer group. We learn how to, negotiate, be loyal, deal with different points of view. They help shape who we become within the family story.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe for you listening, think about your own siblings, or maybe even really close friends who feel like siblings. What are their standout traits, and how do those unique things affect how you interact, the stuff you do together?
That's a good reflection point.
Okay.
Okay, moving out a layer now, grandparents and the extended family. This brings in another dimension, doesn't it? How traditions and maybe wisdom get passed down.
Yeah, the generational links.
So Paul has 2 grandmothers, Elena, his mom's mom, and Rose, his dad's mom. He specifically mentions Rose has a garden with red and yellow roses.
That's a lovely detail.
Isn't it? And his grandfather, George, his dad's dad, is very old and very wise, and apparently tells good stories.
Ah, the storyteller.
Yeah.
Classic grandparent role.
Totally. Then Emily's grandparents, Sophia and Michael, they live in the countryside. Their house has a big garden with many flowers.
Another garden.
Yeah. And Sophia actually grows vegetables, tomatoes, carrots.
You know, what really stands out here are these sort of recurring archetypes. Grandparents as sources of love, maybe history through stories, often comfort, like George's tales or Sophia's homegrown food.
Right. That connection to something tangible.
Exactly. They're not just side characters, they're like cultural anchors. They embody that continuity, pass on values, often just through everyday things like gardening or telling stories. They give you that link to where the family came from.
You can really feel that connection. Okay, widening the circle again.
Mhm.
Aunts and uncles. The supporting cast, you could say.
Adds more texture.
Paul's dad has a brother, Uncle Peter, who's very nice and married to Aunt Mary.
Okay.
And his mom has two sisters, Aunt Carol and Aunt Susan, both described as very sweet. So Paul ends up with one uncle and three aunts.
Well, a decent number.
Emily's structure is a bit simpler again. Her dad has a sister, Aunt Lisa. Her mom has a brother, Uncle James.
Okay, one of each.
Yeah. And both are described as very fun to be around.
That's a great description.
It is. So one aunt, one uncle for Emily, and then naturally this leads to cousins, those first friends sometimes.
Often the first friends outside the house, yeah.
For Paul, his Aunt Lisa, oh wait, actually, let me check the source. Ah, yes, Paul's Aunt Mary and Uncle Peter have two sons, Ben and Sam. Paul mentions he plays video games with them. Ben's a bit older, Sam a bit younger.
Right, the gaming cousins.
And Emily's side, reflecting her big family feel maybe, has more cousins. Uncle Peter and Aunt Mary have a daughter, Chloe. Wait, that must be Paul's side. Let me reread.
It can get confusing mapping these out.
Okay, right, my mistake. For Paul, his Uncle Peter and Aunt Mary have Chloe. His Aunt Carol has Daniel and Olivia. And Aunt Susan has Leo. So Paul actually has four cousins.
Ah, okay. So his small family feeling definitely isn't about lack of extended relatives then.
Definitely not. And Emily mentions her cousins. Let's see, her Aunt Lisa has two sons, Ben and Sam. That's who she plays video games with.
Okay, got it. Video games seem popular.
Seems so. And Emily also mentions those big happy family gatherings for holidays.
Yeah.
Eating, talking, laughing. It sounds like a core part of her family experience.
Yeah, you see two different cousin dynamics maybe. Paul's seems more focused on specific activities with a couple of them. Emily's highlights the big group experience.
Exactly.
And cousins, you know, they often fill this interesting space, their family, so they get the inside jokes, the dynamics.
Right, they understand the weird uncle.
Exactly. But they're also peers, often your own age, so they can be your first real friends who also share that family context. Great for learning social skills, feeling like you belong to something bigger than just your house. Whether it's gaming like Paul or those big gatherings like Emily describes, these interactions are really formative, shaping how we learn to connect with people.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah. Maybe for you listening, what were your experiences with cousins or extended family like? Was it big, loud parties? Or maybe quieter connections with just one or two? And what did those experiences teach you about relating to people?
As we've gone through all these people, what's really impressive is how Emily and Paul describe them. It's not like flowery language. It's simple, but really effective.
Totally. The economy of it is striking.
Yeah. Think about Laura having long brown hair, Tom being tall, John, Emily's dad, having short gray hair, Sarah, Paul's mom, having beautiful blue eyes.
Quick visual snapshot.
Exactly. And personality, too. Paul's grandmother, Sophia, is very kind with a warm smile. His grandfather, George, is very funny. Emily's cousin, Ben, is very friendly, and Paul's cousin, Olivia, is very smart.
It's not complicated, is it?
But it works.
It really does. These aren't fancy descriptions, but you get a clear picture, right? You feel like you get a sense of the person.
This is a perfect example of what you might call descriptive economy. They show us that you don't need long, complex sentences to talk powerfully about relationships.
Right. It's about picking the right simple words. Words that resonate create an instant image in the listener's head. It's precision through simplicity. And that skill, being able to capture the essence of someone clearly, that's useful way beyond just talking about family. It's key to good communication, period.
Absolutely.
So, here's a little challenge maybe. Try it yourself. Pick one family member. Can you describe them using just 2 words? One for how they look, one for their personality. What picture do those 2 words instantly create? It's harder than it sounds.
That's a great exercise.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond who everyone is, Emily and Paul also talked about what they do together, the activities. That's often where the real bonding happens. Right?
Constantly. The shared experiences.
Paul's family, they like to watch movies together on weekends, eat popcorn, classic family night.
Cozy.
And with his cousins, remember the board games? He said they like to play board games, and it gets very competitive and fun.
I can picture that. Adds a different energy.
Then Emily's family food seems central. They like to eat together. There's a big lunch at my parents' house every Sunday. Her mom makes pasta or a big roast chicken.
Sunday lunch. Such a staple for many families.
It really is. And she also mentioned that she and her sister Laura like to go for walks in the park.
So these aren't earth-shattering activities, are they? Movie nights, Sunday lunch, board games, walks.
No, they're pretty everyday things.
But they're what you could call maybe rituals of connection. These repeated things, the predictable get-togethers, they act as anchors for the family.
Anchors, I like that.
Yeah. They reinforce that sense of us, create shared stories, shared memories that stick around even when people's lives go in different directions. They're kind of the threads that weave the family together, often without us even realizing how important they are. They build that sense of belonging. So for you listening, what's your favorite family activity, or maybe a tradition? What makes it special? And if you think about it, what does that activity sort of reveal about what your family values, maybe the unspoken things that define your bond?
This whole conversation, listening to Emily and Paul, it really comes back to something they both basically said. Family is our first home and our first group of friends. It's so important.
Yeah, that sums it up perfectly. It underlines how fundamental these first connections really are.
They set the stage for so much else.
And if you think about the bigger picture here, talking about family is this deeply personal thing, right? But it's also a really accessible way to practice and get better at communicating.
How do you mean?
Well, because you know these people so well, it's easier to find the words to describe the relationships, the feelings. It's like a natural training ground for building vocabulary, for learning how to tell a story, how to articulate complex emotions.
Ah, I see. It's a safe space to practice describing complicated stuff.
Exactly. You're practicing communicating effectively, starting with the people and relationships you know best. It builds that foundation.
And that really is the value, I think, for you, our listener, from this deep dive. We've looked at a framework not just for understanding family details, but for talking about your own essential relationships with maybe more clarity, more precision, and more emotional depth.
Yeah, finding the right words for things that matter.
So we've had quite a journey today, haven't we? Exploring Emily's and Paul's family worlds.
We have, from big versus small to Sunday lunches.
Yeah, we looked at how perception shapes things, the different roles people play, those shared activities that really bind them, and maybe most importantly, the power of using simple descriptive language to talk about loved ones effectively.
Remember, being able to articulate these connections, describe the people who formed you. That's a powerful skill. It helps us connect better with others and also understand ourselves a bit better, our own place in the story.
Definitely. So as you think about your own family after listening to this, we want to leave you with a thought to mull over.
Okay.
What's one single unique detail? Maybe it's a funny habit someone has, a weird tradition you always do, maybe an inside joke. Only you guys get something that really captures the spirit of your family, but doesn't fit neatly into the usual boxes.
Ooh, I like that. The unboxable detail.
Exactly. And what does that specific, quirky detail reveal about the unique, maybe unspoken bond that you share?
That's a great question to ponder.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep connecting.